Hello friends, I am Dr. Ashish Agrawal. In this video, I am going to discuss about the quality control. So this quality control is a very important topic for the lab professional. It is now also included in the undergraduate curriculum. So quality control question is asked in the theory paper of the first MBBS also. So in this video, we will see about quality assurance versus quality control. We will see how we can monitor the QC, how quality control is monitored, and we will see about the LJ chart, Levy-Jennings chart. We will see about the waistguard rules. Okay, and also at last we will see the drawbacks of the internal quality control. Okay, so starting from the quality control. So quality control refers to the measures that must be included during each assay run to verify that the test is working properly. So all the measures that we take during each assay run to verify our system is proper, we are giving the best result, that is a quality control. While the quality assurance is concerned with much more, that the right test is carried out on the right specimen, that right result and right interpretation is delivered to the right person at the right time. So quality control, it is a series of analytical measurements to ensure that results generated by our test systems are correct. While the quality assurance is much more, it is an overall management plan to guarantee that the integrity of the data. So it deals with the system, right? So how we can monitor our quality control data? So I have already made one video about how to calculate mean, how to calculate standard deviation and coefficient of variation, that is CV. Okay. So every lab, as per NABL, every lab has to establish its own mean and SD. So you have to take, when quality control material reach to you, you have to take 20 data point from separate analytical runs. Okay. And purpose of to establish our own lab mean is to cover the day-to-day source of variability in the measurement. Okay, the example like calibration frequency, change of reagent, change of reagent lot, operator technique, temperature, humidity of the testing location, daily, weekly maintenance, all this variability that we will cover when we get the 20 data points. Okay, but this initial assessment of the imprecision may not include variability due to influence of the factors that occur over a longer period of time, such as recalibration, reagent and calibrator lot changes, instrument maintenance, environmental variable. So, initial we derive our own lab mean and SD from 20 data points, but every lab has to derive its final mean after the 90 days. Okay, initially 20 days, then after the 90 days, data from 90 days, derive mean and SD. Okay, so that all the variability are covered. Now, what is NABL guideline? NABL 112 guideline for quality control. How many times we should run control? How many levels we should cover at which frequency? So, as per latest guideline of NABL 112, irrespective of the size of the lab. Okay. Initially, it was there like less than 25 samples, then one level control. If 25 to 75 samples are there, then two levels control one time. And if more than 75 samples, then two level control two times. But now it is changed. Irrespective of the size of the lab, every lab must run two level of controls. Two level of controls. Okay. And if the lab is 24-hour, they can run the sample after 8 hours. Okay, so like in morning you can run the sample normal and abnormal control you can run. Okay, then at 4 p.m. you can run both the control, or what you can do at 4 p.m. you run the normal control, and at 12 midnight you can run the abnormal. It's up to you. Okay, but at least two level control in the peak hours. Okay, now this is also asked in the exam, what is LJ graph? It is Levy-Jennings graph. It is also called as the LJ graph or LJ chart. So LJ are the process control graph where daily quality control values for all levels of control are plotted and inference about the run is drawn. Okay, to decide whether our control are within the range or they are out of range. So advantage is it is simple data analysis and display, easy adaptation and integration into existing control practices, a low level of false rejection or false alarms, and improve capability for detecting systemic and random errors. Okay, so it is a graphical representation of our quality control material. So here there will be a target that is called as a mean, then the standard deviation that are our control limits. Okay, mean plus or minus 1 SD, mean plus or minus 2 SD, or mean plus or minus 3 SD. So you can see here, suppose we run 20 control data, okay, and we get the mean, that is 100, and we will get the standard deviation. So suppose here our standard deviation is 5. So mean plus or minus 1 SD will be, suppose mean is 100 and SD is 5. So 100 plus or minus 5, so that means 95 to 105. Value between 95 to 105, it is called between plus or minus 1 SD. Okay, then mean plus or minus 2 SD means 100 plus or minus 2 SD is 5. So 100 plus or minus 10, that means 90 to 1110. Okay, so value between 90 to 1110, that is our mean plus or minus 2 SD, right? And same way, value between 85 to 115, that is mean plus or minus 3 SD. So here, what is this mean plus or minus 1 SD, or mean plus or minus 2 SD, or mean plus or minus 3 SD? So normally the value, okay, that follows the normal distribution. Here in the center there will be mean, okay, and plus or minus 1 SD. Okay, suppose this is plus 1 standard deviation, here that is minus 1 standard deviation. If our results will fall between mean plus or minus 1 SD, there is 60% chance that they are correct. Okay, when mean plus or minus 2 SD will cover 95% of the population. Okay, that means if our results fall between mean plus or minus 2 SD, that means our 95% we are sure that our results are correct. And mean plus or minus 3 SD, okay, that will cover a 99%. Okay, so now we will see about the QC charts. So you can see here, this is our mean value. Okay, and plus or minus 2 SD, that is depicted as a green value. That means if our results fall between mean plus or minus 2 SD, that means we are 95% sure that our results are correct, and only 5% that our results will be outside. When our result is more than 2 SD but less than 3 SD, okay, same way, when it is more than minus 2 SD but less than minus 3 SD, that is a warning sign. Okay, that is just a warning. Okay, but if our result is outside 3 SD, okay, as for here example, that mean is 100. Okay, if our result is 90 to 1110, it is fine. Okay, but our result is between 85 to 90 or 110 to 115. Okay, so that is a warning sign. But if our result is less than 85, that is less than minus 3 SD, or more than 115, that means 99% chance that the result is incorrect, and only 1% chance that result is correct. So it is not accepted. Okay, so this is the importance of Levy-Jennings charts. So here what we have to do, after the derivation of mean and SD, every day we have to plot the chart. Okay, suppose we get the result 100, we will plot here. If we get 102, we will put here. If we get the value 97, we will put here. Like that we will plot the LJ chart. Okay, for the acceptance or rejection of the control materials, and if our controls are out of range, then we have to take some action. Okay, for that we have a Westgard rules. So there are multi-rule quality control which is developed by Dr. James O. Westgard based on a statistical concept. Okay, and it allows the determination of whether an analytical run is in control or out of control. So we use Westgard multi-rules to help us to reduce the cost while maintaining a high level of certainty that our analytical process is functioning properly. So there are different rules like 12S, 13S, 22S, R4S, 41S, and 10X. One more is 7T. Okay. So we will see one by one what are they. Okay. So first is waveguard 1-2S rule. So what do you mean by this 1-2S rule? Means any one control, one of the two control, normal or pathologic control, the values is outside plus 2SD or minus 2SD. Suppose we have seen the example. If our result mean is 100 and plus or minus 2 SD is 92 and 110. Okay. But if our value either we get 87 or we get 112. Okay. Still it is less than minus 3 SD. Okay. Or plus 3 SD. So it is a warning sign. It alerts technician to possible problems, but we do not reject our run. It is just for observation. It is a warning that there is something wrong in the system. This is our mean, and if our value is more than 2 SD, but it is less than 3 SD, then it is a 1-2S rule violation and it is a warning sign. Okay. So you can see here, if our value is between 2 SD and 3 SD, mean plus or minus 2 SD or 3 SD, that means it is a warning sign. Okay. Now another rule is 1-3S rule. Now what do you mean by 1-3S? That one value means either of the two control, maybe normal or abnormal or both, falls outside plus or minus 3 SD. We have seen the example. Okay, our mean is 100, SD is 5. Okay, so mean plus or minus 3 SD is 85 to 115. If any value, any control, if it is less than 85 or more than 115, that means it is violating the 1-3S rule. So if we get any value which is more than mean plus or minus 3 SD, that means there is a 99% chance that it is incorrect. Only 1% chance is correct. So we have to reject the run, and we cannot run patient sample in the machine. Okay, when there is a violation of 1-3S, and mainly it is because of the random error. It is suggestive of random error. Maybe there is a faulty formation of the reagent, or there is a bubble in the reagent system, or there is improper sampling, improper reagent arms, okay, or there is a clot in the machine, okay, or dirty cuvettes, or there is a deterioration of the lamp. So all may be the cause of the random error that will lead to the 1-3S rule violation. Okay, so you can see here the value is outside 3SD, okay, minus 3SD. Okay, so even minus 3SD or plus 3SD, we have to reject the run, and we cannot run the patient sample till we solve the problem. Okay, that means there is a problem in the system. Now, what is 2-2S rule? So when two consecutive control, their value fall outside plus or minus 2 SD, okay, in the same direction, that is a 2-2S rule. It is sensitive to the systemic error. Results cannot be reported and requires a corrective action. This 2-2S rule is for both within run and across run. Within run and across run. Now you have to understand what is within run. Within run, you have to remember, within run means across material. Means our normal and abnormal control both are outside plus 2 SD or both are minus outside minus 2 SD. Okay, or across run, okay, means within material, means on the morning, okay, our normal control is plus 2 SD, is outside 2 SD, and in the evening same normal control is outside 2 SD. That means it is a violation of 2-2S rule. Okay, you can see here on third day our result is outside 2 SD. Okay, on the fourth day again it is outside 2 SD. So it is 2-2S rule. Okay, violation of 2-2S. So we have to reject the run and take the corrective action. Okay, so it should be in the same direction. Okay, so you can see here it is a violation of 2-2S rule. Okay, and this 2-2S rule is for the within run as well as across run also. Okay, so within run means we are running the normal and abnormal control. So both the control, both are outside plus 2 SD here. Okay, that means we have to reject the run. Okay, while within material means across the run, means on 9th day it is outside 2SD. Okay, here it is minus 2SD, and on the next run also it is outside minus 2SD. So we can see it is a violation of 22S rule. Okay, and it is subject to systemic error. Now, what is this R4S rule? Here, very important thing is this R4S is for the within run only. Okay, you have to remember it is for the within run only, means across the material. Means at the same time we check whether in normal control and abnormal control, if one control, suppose normal control is plus 2SD and abnormal control is minus 2SD, if we get this type of results, that means there is some random error and we must reject the run. Okay, so it is not possible that one control will be outside plus 2SD and another control is minus 2SD. It is not possible. Okay, so it will be a random error. You can see it is for the within run only. Okay, so at the 14 you can see it is plus 2SD, your normal control, and your abnormal control is minus 2SD. Okay, so that means there is some random error, so it is a violation of R4S rule. Now another, this 13S, 22S and R4S, they are very most important QC rules. Okay, but you should also look for the other rules like 41S, 10X, 70. Okay, so what are they? We will see. It requires the control data from the previous runs. When your 4 consecutive QC results for one level of control are outside plus or minus 1 SD, that is 41S rule. Okay, so you can see here consecutively 4 times your results are in the same direction, they are outside the minus 1S. Okay, so that is a violation of 1S rule because it is a systemic error, right? Then this 10X rules here also require the data from the previous run, and 10 consecutive QC results for one level of control are on one side of the mean. Okay, normally we should get both type of results. Okay, we should get positive and minus bias also. Okay, and if we are getting the results the 10 consecutive results on the same side of the mean, so it is not possible to get one result in the same direction. In variability, due to variability, it is normally what should happen, one results, okay, all type of results we should get on both the side of the mean, we should get the results. Okay, if 10 results on the same direction, that means there is some systemic error. So you can see here our results are on the same direction. Okay, so there is some systemic error. Okay, in the laboratory we often forget to see this 10X rule or 41S rule or 70 rule. Okay, we see normally 22S, R4S, 13S, but for the systemic error, whether and systemic error will be due to deterioration of reagent, deterioration of control material, deterioration of the lamp, deterioration of the quality control calibrator reagent. Okay, there is a gradual debris, so all will lead to this systemic error. Okay, and when we are getting this type of systemic error, we should take action. Okay, so 10X rule, when even though it is less than 2 SD or 1 SD, if we are getting the results in the same direction, that is a violation of 10X rule. Okay, so you can see here all the 10 results are the same direction from the mean. Okay, so that is a 10X rule, right? Now what is 7T rule? 7T rule, when you are getting consecutive 7 readings, okay, in the same direction, if they are increasing in, okay, so this is showing the trend. Okay, so one result is this. Okay, so it continuously the results is increasing 7 times, that means it is a violation of 7T rule and it is a systemic error. So you can see here 12S rule is a warning, but if we are getting 22S, 13S, R4S, 41S, 10X or 7T, we have to reject the run, okay, and we have to take the necessary action. So if our controls are out of control, so what should we do? Okay, we should stop the testing, identify and correct the problem, repeat testing on patient sample and controls, do not report the patient results until problem is solved. Okay, so we have to do troubleshooting when the results are outside control. Okay, So what we can do when our controls are out of control? Okay, so we have to take a fresh vial of quality control material and run again. If again control is out, then we can take a new reagent of the same lot. Okay, try a new consumable like any part, solution or tubing. Try a new reagent from the new lot. Okay, here try a new reagent from the same lot, then try a new consumable, then try a new reagent from the new lot if it is available. If it is not working, then recalibrate with the current calibrator. Still we do not get the result, then recalibrate with the new lot of calibrator. And still we do not get our quality control within the range, then the system cannot be brought into the control. Notify the senior staff, do not process the patient sample for the test affected. Call the service engineer till the problem is resolved. We cannot release the patient sample. Okay, so normally what we do, we take a new QC vial, okay, or new QC, we reconstitute new QC and run. Okay, still not working, new reagent. Okay, with the new reagent still results are out of control, then we recalibrate the machine. And even after the calibration, if we do not get our results within the range, then we have to stop the patient samples and call the service engineer. Now, what are the drawbacks of the internal quality control? As such, it is very important. It will give us idea about our overall function. Okay, it will give us idea about whether our reagent, instrument, everything is in place or not. But there are some drawbacks. Like first, it does not take into account the systemic error that are inherent with the measurement procedure. Okay, so with the measurement procedure, there are some inherent systemic error. The quality control cannot detect it. Okay, then there is a chance of random error even if your control is normal. Okay, especially when you are using the semi-auto. So when you are using the semi-auto, your quality control may be fine, but due to the pipetting error or manual, because it is a manual method, so because later on some error during the pipetting, so it may lead to the error again. Okay, then third is it do not take part into the pre-analytical and post-analytical error. It will take care of the analytical portion only. Okay, then it is difficult to carrying out the control in the blind. Using the quality control, we are taking special care. We are cleaning the glassware, wipe the pipette tip, dispense properly, everything we are giving special treatment to the quality control. Ideally, it should be run along with the patient sample. Okay, so that may be the problem. To detect either systemic or random error, we should run the control as per NABL guideline. We have two level controls and we have to repeat it 8 hourly. Okay, then only we can get the exact problem. But many times in periphery, okay, the only one level control is run, okay, one time, then quality control material may not detect any random or systemic error. Okay, so these are all about the drawbacks of the internal quality control. Okay, and lastly, whatever you are doing, you have to document. If you have not documented, that means you have not done it. Okay, and if you have not documented, it is a new bug. Okay, so this is all about the internal quality control. Okay, I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for my future video also. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.